One of the only weapon types I've not used yet in Salt and Sanctuary is the crossbow, an offhand, fast-firing ranged weapon that honestly comes in handy more often than not. But to make this interesting, I decided to try a crossbow-only run with randomizer active. All enemies, items, and bosses swapped around to become a complete mess. And oh boy, did this take a bad turn close to the end. But we'll get to that in time, of course. This is the only crossbow randomizer in Salt and Sanctuary. Hunter to start out gets us a crossbow immediately, grasping ring for the salt, and with only 30 bolts to our name, I don't believe Unspeakable Deep is happening. Devara was my choice of creed, and unfortunately the first boss was already not looking good on my end. Bloodless Prince, in an arena where you have zero room to move away from his gigantic AoEs. Because some scaling is applied to where bosses spawn in, he's maybe doable with our limited ammo, maybe at best, though 3 heals just wasn't cutting it. Luckily, we could do the Bloodless Prince skip to go get stronger. Collecting loot is more difficult, but much more lucrative. A Castaway's Great Axe sells for 20,000 gold. For the best luck we could have had. 700 flame bolts from the Nomad is exactly what I need in a time like this. Funnily, bows don't get fire arrows so quickly, but crossbows do. The damage isn't super busted or anything, but over time heat will roast him up if we can stay alive. Surprisingly, a second try, as dodging through his legs is the optimal strategy even in his much larger arena. Not much changes here, though you need to be really careful to dodge at the right times. Range damage, do your thing. Dex and willpower are the most important stats we're gonna need. You might think we can catch a break here, but Coveted as a second boss is not much better, I have to be honest. 5 straight minutes of lobbing bolts at an inanimate object. I had forgotten that with enough distance on your attacks, the ghost won't be able to hit you as you sit underneath them. Well, a win is a win, even though it wasn't particularly interesting. Okay, now this is different. In place of Mad Alchemist is 1/2 of the Unskinned. You know, the large brute and mage. Well, we only have to contend with the mage part. Usually you have the dart brand, which would let you jump over the magic circles. Much harder to do so in our current situation. However, a different boss arena was an advantage of sorts. 2 platforms on the sides meant we had something to work with. As odd as it was, I noticed that I was super over-leveled after only 2 bosses. I thought they scaled it down, but there must be some inconsistencies, or maybe I got lucky with the salt drops. Regardless, even when damage was dealt to me, I could entirely shrug it off. The really important question is, where the heck are we gonna see the beast half? I shudder to think about him. Kraken Cyclops has turned into the Dried King. Not much changes here since it's avoid fire or die. Flame bolts are disappointing me, not just against a fire boss, but in general. Switching to regular, I want to believe that they're better. Really, we're struggling to get weapon upgrades. Okay, this I have to bring up. Turns out you can run far enough away from the skeleton that he basically can't hurt you. Since he's so slow, his tiny waddle towards you grants you more than enough to shoot him 3 or 4 times. Well, it works until it doesn't, with his fire blades hurting a lot. Kinda nice to not fight in pitch black for once, that's for sure. Yes, the exact thing I had hoped to not see. The third lamb, inside the smallest and darkest arena ever created. Please have mercy on my soul. Important notes to point out are we don't have the wrapped link, which everyone gets used to using for faster rolls. We also have a medium dodge because I like the fashion of this armor. 2 aspects that combine to slow you down big time. Yet somehow this was going okay. Fire is actually preferable for once on my bolts. My performance was looking really decent. Not to mention, even when it wasn't, the large fellow did hardly anything to me at all. All of the brands are in their normal locations, so swapping gravity can get us into Castle of Storms. Oh wait, hold on, I found the Bloodwood crossbow laying down here in the dark. With this class 2 crossbow upgraded from level 1 to 7, which is max by the way, you can tell my drops had gotten far better. Ronin Cran sits atop the electric castle. Firebolts, failing me yet again, the normal ones were not that bad. Pretty underwhelming for me having a max weapon, though to be fair, it takes almost no effort to back up, shoot, back up, and shoot. Plus, then you repeat. A couple people had mentioned to me to not do crossbow only in randomizer just because you never know what's gonna happen. Fair point, since Magic would probably be dealing with these HP pools a lot better. No regrets. I'm getting work done no matter how long each job takes. Wall jump brand as expected, leading towards Dome of the Forgotten. Ah, man, were the enemies in this section a problem. If you've ever seen these fish-looking things before, you already know what I'm talking about. Kraken Cyclops, there you are, buddy. Finally back to an easier fight, he says as he gets knocked around by a giant axe. Weirdly enough, most arenas I'm noticing are not that different. Yes, some are too small for different bosses, but one wall on the left and one wall on the right is the more standard practice. Dude, this is starting to hurt my eyes. The closer my giant friend here got to death, the more he managed to hit me. Wow, I need to play with a medium roll more often if this is what it looks like. Look away, people, look away before my gamer status is revoked. Karshjaw the Cruel is where you're probably starting to notice that crossbows don't seem to be very good. Well, yes, and also no. The actual damage they deal by themselves is really low. Ideally, you use them for pure ranged purposes when you can't get in with your melee option. They're an offhand, meaning you might as well use one if there's a dex weapon in your main hand. That being said, why not just go pistol instead, which deals better damage? In my opinion, it's due to the range. You can sit as far back as you want and fire at an arc to hit the target every single time. Maybe it takes a while, and maybe it isn't the prettiest fight in the world, but it works. One really important feature to take note of is crossbows fire faster if you jump. Do this as you fire, and for some reason they reload faster. Seems like the animation for loading a bolt is skipped entirely. Doesn't always feel the best in every situation, but you notice the difference almost immediately. Yeah, this boss did get me, which finally made me switch over to a light roll. I tried, guys, but man, is medium just not good enough. Hardlight brand means we're now ready for Mal and the Ziggurat. Yeah, I tried to go back to my cool armor and paid a dear price for it. That was almost too painful for even me to endure. Okay, she got me a second time. In my opinion, the reloading of the crossbow was slightly lagged behind enough for her to catch me on a teleport. If I was quick enough, this wouldn't be an issue. So after 3 tries, we finally defeat the Sky Butterfly. Well, I guess in this case, it's the Dark Dungeon Butterfly, but same difference really. Dart brand, now this will come in handy. Mad Alchemist gets the biggest arena in the entire game. Ironic, considering his entire gimmick is bullying you with magic until there's nowhere to run. Not a problem here, although the random scythe enemies were a new addition. The bottom of this ziggurat has flying enemies that hover upside down near one of the puzzle jumps you need to make. My guess is these guys spawn down here instead since they can't fly. They were kind of a major obstacle, as you can imagine. Eventually get them down, and finally, it's a breeze. Just imagine if this was his main arena. Give me a little bit of extra room, and one of the trickiest bosses when you deal low damage becomes an anthill under my boot. No, I don't hate ants to anyone out there trying to cancel me. This is just an analogy. Jeez, give me a break. A merchant was selling shimmering pearls, the rarest item in Sultan Sanctuary. This meant only one thing to me. Time to farm the giant in Mal's castle who got randomized into himself, funnily enough. Defeat him around 15-ish times for 100,000 salt, letting us transmute our crossbow using the dried king's ashes. An expensive venture that grants us a weapon with slash, strike, and arcane damage. Scaling in magic and dex, we should be getting better damage out of this hunk of metal. Scourge the Dragon has taken over Mal's castle. One magic user to replace another. Why do I keep trying to medium roll? Just to give up already, brother, please. This is an extremely small room for the large dragon. Luckily, we have all the tools we need to make him a joke. Crossbows can be held before shooting to hold you up over his magic. Running straight into him as he throws out bolts forces him to throw them backwards. Constantly jump to get bolts out faster, and that's a win for sure. Huh, I expected to spend a lot longer here. Our damage really sucks, man. Please tell me joining the Golden Club is gonna help. Oh, that's right. I don't know where to farm any of these enemies. Ember Skull Ashes were in the first area, so that's 1 golden wine at least. Skullbat Wings get us 2, which will have to be enough. Tree of Men is looking a lot shorter these days. Instead of a 3 versus 1, it's us versus just the king. He kicked me off of the ledge. Oh, he seems to have done it a second time. And also a third. New plan. We sit up above his head and eat the fire instead of moving to other platforms. Yep, this plan is working a whole lot better. I should have done this from the start. What the heck just happened? I guess now he knows what it felt like for me. Untouched Inquisitor awaited me in the blue biome of darkness. Where has this boss been? Now that's more like it. Are we gonna do this thing hitless? I think we are. Either the split damage on this weapon is far better than I thought it would be, or the Inquisitor is really weak to fire. Might be a combination of both. Upping magic from now on for the split stats, we enter the swamp against Kraken Dragon. Oh yeah, duh, that's why my damage is so much better. We're drinking the golden wine. I literally just grabbed the stuff and already forgot. Worrying about his fire breath is by no means crazy. To my surprise, we had just enough room to run away from it each time. Safe to say, we should have come down this direction first before going to the ziggurat. That golden wine is juicing up our bolts nicely. Though some of the bosses that have yet to make an appearance are starting to worry me. Redshift brand means we can unlock the path to this random mage. A part of the king's triple encounter, she doesn't stand a chance. You know what? When on her own, this is actually a pretty fun boss fight. No dodging 5 things at the same time. Instead, jump over magic and pull the trigger. Better yet, Crane's Arena has these slopes up on the sides. Handy for jumping even higher when need be. Luck of the draw on this one. Or possibly no luck at all, seeing as what to come would shake me to my very core. Sodden Knight, one of our favorites. Definitely a sight for sore eyes and much more enjoyable than the Axe Twins, who usually take forever here. Higher HP, he might have from the randomizer, though it wasn't quite high enough. I'm fine with taking these free wins while we can get them. Down in the swampy lake, we find Unskinned, the brute version. I'm starting to forget who we even have left to fight at this point. Bosses who are duo or triplet fights getting split up adds a whole level of randomness I did not prepare for. Poor fellow here is only a threat when magic protects him. Without the potent stuff littering your path, he's mostly harmless. Because we have super range, we can simply dodge his head rush, which is the easiest attack he has. And then afterwards, we win. Beautiful stuff. Well, it was about time we hit a stainless steel wall. Nameless God, protected by Witch of the Lake. 2 of the strongest bosses in the entire game in one arena together. The randomizer has not been kind to us. Hold on a minute, this might be more possible than we thought. The extra room in this arena means we can run out of the melee range and focus down the witch. She seems incredibly weak, as each bolt cuts 1/5 of her health down. Yeah, I mean it figures we would get cut down at least once, but I'm feeling much more optimistic about our chances. Though it can't hurt to go get more salt first at Tree of Men. Turns out his platforms appear where he does. Somehow, fire still burns you from every side. Overall, this is a completely unchanged fight. Thank goodness. Imagine trying to hit his head with no way to reach up there. What a complete nightmare that would be. Bolts take their time. Well, really, you can attack from anywhere. Just make sure to use jumps as they can hold you over his metal slams. Easy peasy. Snap back to reality, the witch is going down as soon as possible. Golden Wine kept me alive multiple times, as the Nameless God's magic is much more troublesome when you can't jump up walls. For what we're up against, a decently clean kill. Then again, we're out of the frying pan and into a large volcano. Oof, that damage leaves much to be desired. A couple minutes later, normal bolts flying through the air on repeat, and with a great deal of lore walking to intimidate me, the Dark Lord goes down. What a wild combo of bosses to get. Who, pray tell, has replaced the large dragon in his lair? Oh, sweet, it's the knight. I'm starting to get a bad feeling about this. So far, 3 separate bosses have been replaced by one of the Forgotten King's counterparts. All 3 are extremely easy by themselves since they're designed around a gank fight. That begs the question, who could possibly be waiting for me down in the hidden levels of this dungeon? Will we face a 3v1 of normal bosses? Please don't do that to me, game. But alas, that is exactly what they did to me. Disemboweled Husk, Stench Most Foul, and the False Jester all together facing little old me and my tiny crossbow. To tell you that this encounter was impossible would be an understatement. I got nowhere. 9 times out of 10, they all had close to max health after every one of my defeats. With the worst run back in the game, I still don't know what could have been done to beat this. To explain why they're so difficult, think about it this way. Jester is highly aggressive and fast to keep you dodging. The Pirates is slow, but he can shoot fire to hit you pretty much anywhere in the arena. And then Stench spawns in minions to keep you fighting anything but the bosses. This culminates in the worst possible combination of bosses scenarios I think could ever happen. All 3 of them keep you from fighting each other. After 5 minutes, if you even last that long, you still won't have gotten any chances to hit the boss. I tried everything from holding a main hand weapon and buffing it to alter our damage type, relying on fire defense from blacksmith armor, completely swapping creeds so red grass heals can help me survive attacks for longer, poison bolts to maybe deal with them while I focus on dodging. I never even put a dent in these 3. Now, usually I'd grind until we have what it takes to beat them, but again, it's all randomized. Items are scattered who knows where for creeds. Upgrade materials might not even exist, and at level 74 already, our damage is maxed with 34 in both dex and magic, which should be enough for split weapons if I remember. In the end, I think Sultan Sanctuary finally beat me. This run with only a crossbow just isn't possible to my knowledge. Maybe with magic, no, most definitely with magic, but I think we're gonna have to call it here. Except, this particular location is an optional boss. Why didn't I think of this before? If the game is gonna try and outsmart us, we just have to outsmart the game right back. Ignoring those 3 bullies, we can skip on down to the still place and find Queen of Smiles. Of course it's the Queen. What better boss to replace a Dark Lord than a dark and evil Queen? To her detriment, the smiley lady has no clue how to deal with range. She hobbles over to you and tries her best, without any success though. Crossbows might not be the strongest weapon type. However, they do make up for that with ease of use and practically infinite range. If the good old pistol just isn't reliable enough for you, then you've got the perfect offhand weapon to back you up. Can you beat randomized Sanctuary with only a crossbow? Yes. Technically, we did have to skip a boss, well 3 bosses if you're really stingy about it, but that was an optional encounter. One of those odd scenarios where my back was up against a wall. I have no idea how you could possibly get around those 3 being together. It was nice to have 3 really easy bosses throughout the game, but if it means one big nightmare awaits you here near the end, I think I'll take the hard bosses like normal please, and thank you. If you did enjoy this video, don't forget to like for my benefit and yours. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time.